afternoon. My name is Troy Delone, and today I want to speak with you about a disorder called oppositional defiance disorder. It is a disorder that is conduct disorder that deals with people primarily of the adolescent age range. However, some children pre-adolescent have been diagnosed with this disorder as well as adults too. But it's more prevalent in that adolescent age range. And oppositional defiance disorder, it's a disorder where you have disruptive behavior as far as like disobedience, disrespect to authority figures, and this defiant behavior overall. And sometimes they can be misdiagnosed. These kids who have this disorder, and culturally, I want to talk about the cultural factors that play a role in oppositional defiance, as well as social factors, environmental factors, and biological factors. Biologically, a child can develop ODD. It can be passed down to them from a parent who might have been diagnosed with oppositional defiance disorder, which it's also called ODD. So we're going to use ODD, that term right there moving forward for oppositional defiance disorder. So parents could have been diagnosed with oppositional defiance disorder, and that may have been could be passed down to the child. However, there are also some environmental factors that could contribute to an oppositional defiance diagnosis. And those environmental factors are where a child may be in a home where there's spousal abuse going on between two spouses, a husband and wife, or the two parents. Also, there could be substance abuse issues going on where a parent has substance abuse issues or alcoholic problems, drinking problems, and also there could be physical abuse going on between the spouses, and this could be a thing that could trigger children into those type of behaviors right there, being defiant and having oppositional defiant disorder. Also, the social environment, growing up in poverty or growing up around this neighborhoods that are, poorly kept, and doesn't have as many activities for them to do, like productive activities like youth centers and things of this nature like that, and where they don't have a way to release some of the pressure that they may be suffering from. So I want to use a couple of examples of, because it don't have to be where a child is in a negative environment for them to have oppositional defiance. Opposition ODD. It could be a situation where a child is in a good environment, pretty good environment that doesn't have those risk factors that we talked about earlier. They could be in a stable household with stable income, no type of parental or guardian abuse towards each other or towards the child or anything. However, there could be other factors that may contribute to a child developing oppositional defiance disorder, such as this child may be a child who has been placed in a home due to another situation with their biological parent. And what I mean by that is that one or both of the parents could be incarcerated or deemed to be unfit, or some kind of way that child was removed from that home and placed into another home. And although they are getting nurtured, and although they are being supported, although they are being cared for, deep down inside, that child still has a desire and a yearning for to be with their biological parent. And this may trigger defiance or defiant attitude towards the caregivers that they are with, and who is trying to help and nurture them. You know, and it's nothing that they're doing, the caregiver is doing to warrant this type of defiance or disrespect or whatever you have, whatever it may be. It's the child have something that's going on within themselves, a desire that they would like to be or have their biological parents in their life. And it's almost like kind of like they develop this kind of fantasy in their head that, you know, man, I wonder how things would be if my dad was here, if my mother was here, you know. And sometimes they might blame themselves. They might be, maybe it's something that I done that my mom or my dad is not here. Instead of focusing on the environment that they're in, this nurturing and caring environment that they're in, a piece of them wants to have their biological parents in their life. And like I said, this could lead to some defiant behavior, and if not dealt with properly, and what I mean by dealt with, if the proper interventions and treatment is not given to this child, then it could lead to this child really going off the rail and progressing into something like conduct disorder, where they become volatile and start destroying property and, you know, causing harm towards others, fighting and things of that nature, destroying property outside the home or other people's property and stuff. So, you know, that's the risk you take if this oppositional defiance disorder is not treated early and effectively. We'll get into that a little bit later, but I want to give another, point out another factor too and deal with oppositional defiance disorder. It's not, it doesn't know any race, it doesn't know any culture or creed or anything like that. However, it's dealt with differently in other cultures than there are in some. Like, let's say, for instance, in the African American community, kids who are diagnosed with oppositional defiance disorder and display certain behaviors, like as far as like rebelling against authority, talking back, just not doing the things that like school work and chores in a house and everything, just being rebellious. You know, they may be diagnosed with oppositional defiance disorder. However, a child of another ethnic group, let's use whites for instance, instead of that child there displaying, that child may display those same behaviors. However, it may be termed or may be titled as something else, like some type of anxiety or some type of mood disorder or something like that, instead of oppositional defiance disorder, right? And it's treated differently, you know. Oh, he just have some anxiety, you know. So those kids, like say for instance, one kid might, we take those two kids, one kid gets in trouble in school, rebelling, talking back to the teacher and everything, he's suspended, you know, and sent home, and, you know, the parent has to come back and bring him to school and talk to the teachers and everything. On the other end, this child with this other diagnosis, he has anxiety, right? So, okay, so let's send him to the school counselor so he can talk to the school counselor and they can try to come up with some type of way to help him with his anxiety. So, but it's the same behavior with different diagnosis and different treatment, right? So, there are some, I want to hit on some of the interventions for oppositional defiance disorder, and I'm going to focus on one in particular, which I've, just by looking at different research that I've had the opportunity to view, PCIT, Parent-Child Intervention Therapy, Interaction Therapy, I'm sorry. And PCIT has proven to be an effective intervention and treatment module to be able to treat oppositional defiance disorder, and it's proven to be effective because it gives the caregiver an opportunity to be coached by a professional counselor or a social worker or someone in that field. And so what happens is the child and the caregiver are placed in a room with a two-way mirror where the therapist is on the other side of the mirror and has an earpiece in the parent ear and or the caregiver ear, and they coach the parent into how to, interact with this child and how to redirect the child when the child is having a particular behavior, and how to give them praise and encouragement and stuff like that to help them to highlight good things that they're doing and build on those good things that they're doing, and eventually offset some of that defiant behavior by being supportive and encouraging to those children, and just being consistent and having that professional touch added to it. So again, PCIT is a very effective intervention model to treating oppositional defiance disorder. And right quick, briefly, I want to talk about why it is important that we treat oppositional defiance disorder early on and do it effectively. Is because we don't want this to progress into conduct disorder. When it progresses into conduct disorder, then conduct, which is highly likely if not treated right, conduct disorder is where you're going to have a child who is now doing those things I mentioned earlier. They're destroying property, they're a threat to themselves as well as others, and for it's like being volatile and harmful. And so these children are now, when they do that and display these type of activities or these type of behavior, they are subject now to the criminal justice system. And unfortunately, our criminal justice system is not equipped to deal with children who present these type of disorders. All they looked at is that they committed a crime and they're going to be punished for it. And there's no treatment involved in that. All it is punishment. And so these kids now start progressing into, okay, once they go to jail one time or be in a youth facility one time, then now they get comfortable being in that environment, and it's kind of becomes the norm for them. So, and they stand a chance at progressing throughout their adult life into committing more serious crimes and being subjected to the criminal justice system where they'll be put away for even more time. So we want to stop this cycle and break this cycle and make sure that we treat these kids early with oppositional defiance disorder properly, effectively, and make sure that we don't have this to where it progresses into conduct disorder and the kids, end up in a real unfortunate situation. So thank you for your time. I just wanted to make sure that we highlight this disorder, oppositional defiance disorder. I mean, it's no thing where, it's not a bad thing to sort of say, where these kids can't be helped or can't be reached. But we have to have the proper treatment in place for these kids and understand that, look, if we help these kids early, then chances are later on down the road, they'll be able to develop better coping mechanisms and understand it before it's over. Thank you.